any year of any franchise. I mean, the year I think the first Super Bowl KC had won, um, the first of the back to back. I think they won 11 games if I'm not mistaken. I think they was 11-6 that year, the year before last. So you don't necessarily have to. You don't get a trophy, man, for being the team with the most wins. I think that having the home field advantage. I was talking to some friends of mine today, man, and I don't think home field advantage don't mean that as much to me. I don't know in football, yeah, unless you go to obviously let's just say Green Bay get it and it's snow in Green Bay, or remember Philly had it last year. They played the Rams in the snow. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a distinct advantage. To have that game, a playoff game in the snow or something like that at your home field. But I think for the most part, I think it for the Lions. I mean, since we're gonna start off tonight talking about the NFC North. I don't think it don't have they don't have to be like the number one seed to you know what I'm saying, to do anything or to be this top juggernaut of a team. I just want to be playing well. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the season, we'd have McNeil back. The second half of the season, you'd have Aiden Hutchinson playing. A full season, ready, ready for the playoffs. Our offense is prime and ready to go, working all the kinks out. So I just think that for the Lions, that ship is sailed as far as like trying to be this team that stacks up wins during the regular season. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want fans to be like if the Lions finish 10-7 or 11-6, and then but we could be a better team. You know what I'm saying? With 11 wins this year, we could be a better team, especially if we healthy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I'm glad. Tonight is the season opener. We got a pretty good game going on. Philly and Dallas. Walt, as we enter our what's up, everybody? Dwayne, Corey, what's up, fellas? You know, it's it's good to be here, man. You know what I'm saying? Another year covering this team, man, covering the Lions, interacting with our fans, our people that follow the show. We appreciate y'all every show. Um, it's just glad to be here, man. We it's gonna be fun this year. I really do. I think last year we was talking in the pre-show walk before I let you, start off the show, but we talk about our division first, and we get into the Vikings, the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, NFC North. I think that this division, the best division in football, man. I think top to bottom is. I mean, you put the Bears number four because they haven't won and they've been like the last place team the last couple years. They've been struggling to find their way, struggling to find a guy who's going to lead the franchise. And they think they might have it now with Ben Johnson, with Caleb Williams now. We seen the start of Caleb Williams' career, you know what I mean? And him he has to take the next step. He has to mature. He has to be more of a conductor. You know what I'm saying? He's got to, stay clean, stay poised, point everybody in the right direction, lead this team, down the field. Yeah, Corey, I would love 11-6, man. And if 11-6 is what we need, put it this way, the Lions, I think they're not gonna not make the playoffs. I've seen people say they're gonna miss the playoffs, stuff like that, which I think is crazy. I don't think that whatever it takes to get in the play, I think they're gonna be above that. You know what I'm saying? If the line is 10-7, I think Corey, that's really realistic. 11, and I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that just get in, man. That's all you need to do is get in. But back to the Bears. I mean, the Bears have got a team that has literally transformed in front of it. They could be a team that transform in front of our eyes, man. You know what I'm saying? They have drafted, they drafted a Darnell Wright on their offensive line a couple years ago. They got a good tight end, Cole Komet. They signed. what's the kid from Atlanta on their offensive line? They've Stallman. They signed him to go on that
Yeah, the
offensive
center.
line. Yeah, the center. They have some guys that they've invested in. You know, they got DJ Moore a couple years ago. Roma Dunze they drafted. You know, Luther Burden looks like a player to me. You know, they drafted Colston Loveland, another tight end in this league. You got to have two tight ends, just like two running backs at your disposal. DeAndre Swift or Sean Johnson. Man, their defense is just as good. You know, even better. I think. You know, I think they got the second best defense in this division behind the Vikings. I believe that. It's going to be very interesting, man. I think to have the Vikings Bears week 1 Monday Night Football. That's a reason why that game is so attractive. To the NFL and the NFL universe. As a whole. So for me, well, before I take it away, I mean, I believe that the Bears. I'm not going to say they're a playoff team. I'm not going to say that yet. You know what I'm saying? I have to see. Give me till week 6 until I can tell you if the Bears are serious for real. And I think they're going to be a better team. But as far as playoff material, actually going to win this division out of the 4 teams, I think they got the fourth best chance to win the division, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? I do think the Bears are good. They can be good. They got talent on this team. You know what I'm saying? In years past, and it's gonna be interesting to see if Ben Johnson can be to take the next step as a coach and be a leader and lead this team. And like the Bears, I never knew this, but the Bears they've never had a 4,000 yard passer in their history of their franchise. You know what I'm saying? And that's crazy. Where they had Jay Cutler all those years, and it just seemed like even the earlier years when they had other quarterbacks that was known, they've never had a guy to throw that many yards. So I think
Well, yeah,
that's
Eric Kramer
bulletin.
was there too
Yeah,
for a
Eric
minute.
Kramer. So I'll let you take it away. I mean, talk about the Bears. Tonight started off.
Yeah. So Bears are funny because we were discussing this in the pre-show. We expect the defense to be damn good. The defense was damn good last year. They got a nice stable of running backs. The offensive line was not very good a couple years ago when Justin Fields was there. They invested a lot of resources in the offensive line, draft, free agency. Um, they got him the weapons. Colston Loveland looks like he's going to be a damn good tight end in the NFL. Of course, everyone
Mm-hmm.
around here, as Michigan fans, are very familiar with who Colston Loveland is. Komet,
Mm-hmm.
complimentary tight end. DJ
Mm-hmm.
Moore. Uh, what's your kid from Washington a year ago? That I wasn't as high on as a lot of other people was.
Roma
Roman
Dunze.
Dunze.
Yeah, yeah.
Roman Dunze. We expect him. Yeah, we expect him to be a lot better in year 2. As you mentioned, Luther Burden, rookie out of
Mm-hmm.
Missouri. He's
Yeah.
unique, not Burton, but I think Caleb Williams, his situation is unique because usually it takes teams after they draft the quarterback number 1 overall, it takes them about 3-4 years to start really rebuilding and retooling that roster. They got his roster turned around in a year, what, 2 drafts pretty much for the most part. So and you brought up another valid point, Ben Johnson. It's one thing to call plays, orchestrate plays, design plays. How much credit you get for that, in contrast to how much credit your former head coach gets from that. That's neither here nor there. Can you lead a locker room? Can you build a solid relationship built off trust and respect with 52 other men in that locker room? That's going to be key. When you go through a 3-game losing streak and the Chicago media is coming to talk to you. They're not going to talk to your offensive coordinator. They're coming to talk to you now. So, they got a lot going on. And I think, especially in Ben Johnson's case, you were with one of the veteran coaches in this division in Dan Campbell for the past 4 years. Kevin O'Connell's a great coach, seasoned in.
Mm-hmm.
LaFleur, Green Bay seasoned in. Regardless of how you may view LaFleur overall, He had a lot of success with Aaron Rodgers. Well, he's had some success after Aaron Rodgers as
Yeah.
well. He's made the playoffs the last 2 years without him, and he won a playoff game in Dallas a couple years ago. So I would also say pump your brakes on Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams in Chicago this year, simply because I think Green Bay is substantially better. Even though you can make the argument that the Bears roster overall is better than Green Bay's
Mhm.
roster.
Could.
But if we're
It
talking
could.
about
Yeah.
experience and coach experience, the quarterback, and everything else that goes into it, organization, the history of the organization, and their ability to perform in big time
Yeah.
moments, you got to go with Green Bay over Chicago. And I'm with you. I think Minnesota's better also, even though JJ McCarthy, and I'm not as down on JJ McCarthy as a lot of people are. But I think a lot of people forget, man, like coming out of high school, and I understand 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 1 star, 2 stars, zero
Yeah.
stars, whatever. Overall, it doesn't matter, but it matters to a certain extent. And when you're talking about these kids' physical gifts coming out of high
Yeah.
school, people forget JJ was considered one of those guys. Like JJ could have went to LSU. JJ could have went to a lot of other schools. JJ was a 5 star, and JJ chose to stay in Michigan and play for Jim Harbaugh. And as everyone knows how Jim Harbaugh likes to run his
Yeah.
offense, you could say for the most part, Andrew Luck, when he had Andrew Luck at Stanford, Drew was the only quarterback that he allowed to really just drop back and throw the football around.
Yep.
He had an offense set up in place for Colin Kaepernick. He had an offense set up in place for everybody else he had. He's got an offense set up in place now for Justin
Yeah.
Herbert. And Herbert is probably one of the two or three best, most physically gifted quarterbacks in the league. And he's neutered him. So he neuters his quarterbacks for the most part to fit his offense. I believe people are going to see under Kevin O'Connell
Yeah.
because JJ's the most talented quarterback he's had. And he's made a lot out of what he's had as far as the past
Yeah.
quarterbacks, Mullins and Sam Darnold. He got Darnold a big time deal in
Yeah.
Seattle. We're going to find out how good Sam Darnold is in Seattle this year without Kevin O'Connell. But if he could make it happen with lesser talented quarterbacks, I don't see why people just think that he just can't make it happen with JJ. And we saw, listen, man, as Michigan fans, we saw JJ make throws. People, can we stop exaggerating and not seeing them throw stuff? Like JJ was out there just 6 for 9 every game or something like that.
Hmm.
JJ was still out there 17 for
Yeah.
25. Every now and then you'll see a 22 for 28, 29,
Yeah.
or whatever. And we saw JJ make some
Well,
big
I
throws.
think that it
So
wasn't.
like I said, I'm not as down on him. And
Yeah. 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 Sorry
yep,
about that. I was just gonna say. I was just agreeing with you about the JJ thing because there was some times where he did throw in some tight windows. You know what I'm saying? It was. I know in the national championship game, he threw some. He had to make some plays in that game. You know what I'm saying? To get some key first downs. So, like you said, man, Diamond Dave, what's up, man? Yeah, Dwayne, I see I see you. You're absolutely right, man. We were talking about the spit. You know what I'm saying by Jalen Carter's crazy, man. And Carter, a hell of a player, and you could see where Dallas took advantage of it real quick. And running the ball right down the field. You know what I'm saying? I mean, running the ball right through the middle of the defense. So it has affected Philly, their game plan defensively, I think. But I think that they'll be, I think Philly right now is what up 21-17. Dallas is playing inspired football, but I think Philly going to show, second half they're going to pull away and win this game handily. I think by double digits. But yeah, just back what you said, Walt, about the Vikings, man. You know what I'm saying? And JJ McCarthy. I think that he's the most intriguing guy. I think in our division, other than the development of Caleb Williams, obviously with Ben Johnson. I think that JJ McCarthy is a guy. Um, he's kind of an unknown. I mean, like you said, we know him, but people like people on the west side of the country don't maybe know who JJ McCarthy is, or never really they didn't follow him at Michigan or anything like that. So for me, I do think, he has landed in the best situation possible, with Kevin O'Connell. You know what I mean? I think that that was an excellent spot for him because we've seen he is the quarterback whisperer, man. You know what I mean? I'm going to say it once, I say it again. I think that, Minnesota and Green Bay got the two best D lines in our division. I think that the Vikings are a little bit better, defensively. I'm gonna say I think they're better than the Lions, man. I mean, and that's a fact. That they've, you get.
Ooh,
I'm telling you. I think
ooh.
the ultimate factor that could be
Ah,
is the secondary. Now, I don't think Vikings secondary is
well,
that
let me
great.
ask you this: Are we talking about best D lines starting this Sunday, or are we talking about like in totality, all these teams healthy? Because all these teams got some injuries also. But I would make the case that Detroit with Aleem McNeil, DJ Reader, Tyleek Williams, Aiden Hutchinson, and Marcus Davenport.
That's pretty.
I'll take that against everybody else's defensive line in that division.
Whew, okay.
Now that's not what we got
Yeah.
week one.
I
I,
mean,
I
I
get
like
I
I
get it,
like
but
Jonathan Allen. I like Javon Hargrave. I like Ivan Pace. I like Van Ginkel. I think those guys are good, man. Like I said, Lions got to show me, man. I mean, yeah. I mean, that was the one thing I'm disappointed. I'm not rewarding the Lions. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna reward them because they didn't do anything to. I mean, yeah, to get Tyleek Williams, I like the pick. I like the pick. You know what I'm saying? I think he's going to be okay. He's going to be fine. Um, I want to see a pass rush. That's the one thing with the Lions that stopped us from doing anything last year when it meant something is to get to the quarterback. And I think that, man, if they can't do it again, it's just they're just setting themselves up for not being. Yeah, right, Corey. I can't get excited. I mean, I like Davenport when he in there for 3 games. Yeah, he looked good. He athletic freak. He
well, that's the
yeah,
point I'm
long arms.
yeah, that's the point I'm making. I mean, I just when we healthy, it's maybe this team, and you brought this up quite a few times, that maybe this team could struggle a little bit early. They could find themselves 4-5 or 3-4
Yeah,
or
man.
something like
Yeah,
that. And then by the time down the stretch, the season starts to hit, when the season starts to lighten up just a little bit, schedule
yeah,
wise, if you got all of those guys healthy. Now Davenport, I'm not
yeah,
banking on it, but we saying if you have if you have that type of rotation up front, then you got Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes and Azaloni behind
hmm
that.
yeah,
Yeah, then you got two all pro
yeah.
safeties.
No, well, that's what.
Yeah, I would take
Yeah,
that.
and you're right. I mean, that's where the Lions are. Like they're the best team. I still got the Lions winning the division, but man, the gap is closed. Do you know what I'm saying? It ain't a big like last year. We was kind of saying it like, man, the Lions are the clear cut favorite in this division. I mean, I can't say that definitively now. They didn't do the necessary findings to me to fine tune it. I'm talking about the defense. I'm not talking about the offense. I'm not talking about nothing else right now. Just defenses. Don't stay with me. The safety, like you said, best pair of safeties in the league. You know what I'm saying? That's a given. Branch and Kirby Joseph in the league. It's just the D line just concerns me, man. You got from and Lehman Neal's hurt. He's not playing to start the season. You know what I mean? You got Pat O'Connor as a backup guy. You know what I'm saying? And it's like behind. I'm banking on Talik Williams, man, being a guy that we could really, have a breakout rookie season and just solidify everything. If that's the case, then yeah, well, we in good shape until McNeil gets back, and then people forget about Reader. But we still talking about the Vikings a little bit. So what I was gonna say was I like the D line, but I think the secondary is going to be an issue. I really do. I think that's going to be the Vikings' problem. I think that their D line is good, but I think you mean to tell me you about to start Isaiah Rogers and Jeff Okuda at corner, and with a straight face, and you telling me those two guys are going to be able to to stop Jamison Williams and St. Brown. No way, man. No way. I think that's going to be their Achilles heel to me. I think the Packers secondary, same thing. I think the D line is good as hell, but I don't know if their secondary is that great to me. You know, but yeah. So that's how I feel about it. I like I said, I think the Vikings are good. I think they're better than the Bears, like you said. Then especially offensively, we didn't even have to go through it. I think Jordan Addison, I think he's gonna miss some time to start the season. I think he got suspended or
Yeah.
something. He stay in trouble too, man, just like Rashay Rice. So the Vikings gonna be good, uh, but I don't know how good. Just like the Bears, I just don't. JJ McCarthy put a big question. He shouldn't even be wearing number 9. He should have a question mark on his back, like the Joker, wear a question mark on his jersey, because you don't know. You don't know what JJ McCarthy got. He could be like 7 for 21 game, and then throw 4 touchdowns the next game. It's going to be a roller coaster a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I think with him, JJ McCarthy can play. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's just going to be how far. Well, let me ask you this. Let me just you just play Vikings head coach right now or offensive coordinator. I mean, are you just letting him throw the rock all over the place? Is that what you're doing? You know what I'm saying, with your offense? And you feel comfortable with that? You know what I'm saying? Just saying, hey, just let it rip, and just, or is he on a pitch
I,
count? You know what I mean?
I think if they smart, they're gonna have him on the pitch count.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
kid is already didn't. I mean, he played a decent amount at Michigan. He set when he first got there, but you want to make sure you keep him mentally healthy, you keep him physically healthy. Now what I do see with them is the fact that they didn't really address the running back room. They
Yeah.
still got Aaron Jones out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Aaron Jones.
just a couple, yeah, just a couple other guys. I thought that maybe either via free agency or maybe the draft they would have addressed the running back position, but they didn't. But
Mm-mm.
you talking about
Mason.
what Naylor
Jordan
says? You
Mason.
talking about yeah, yeah. So you talking yeah? Was that he's actually a good back, but we don't
Mm-hmm.
know how much to really expect out of him. But you talking about Jordan Addison when he's there, Justin Jefferson. You talking about Naylor.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got some weapons, but and they addressed the offensive line. The two biggest issues you and I both talked about after that Week 18 beatdown that the Lions gave them 31-9 was how soft Minnesota felt in
Mm-hmm.
the two games that we played against them. Now, early on in the season, Week 5, when we played them, they were 4-0. We were 4-0. I think both teams. It was a pride thing. It was a pretty
Yeah.
much a pissing contest.
Man, that
Neither
was a
team wanted to
nice.
back down. We 4-0. You 4-0. We better than all y'all. No, y'all frauds and this and that. Minnesota played hard. It
Yeah, that was
still
a nice
felt like
win.
yeah, and the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, regardless of the score of that game, watching that game, it still never really felt like Minnesota had any control or had really any type of legit chance of coming back.
Yeah.
Because Darnold threw the key pick later on down in the fourth quarter of the game that kind of sealed it for them. But it just feels like it's just something missing with Minnesota. Now you could say it's the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Maybe JJ will turn out to be the guy, but I'm just saying from what I saw from JJ McCarthy at Michigan, I understand he didn't throw the ball a ton. And I also believe a lot of people's views here in Michigan on him are skewed by that Penn State game
Yeah.
where they ran the ball the entire second half and they
Yeah.
take that one game and they try to paint JJ's whole career at Michigan because of that one game. And that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
As
Yeah.
Michigan fans, we know good and well we see anybody who actually watched college football and watched Michigan, you saw JJ throw the football.
Yeah. Of
So I
course. Of
think
course.
that narrative about him is a little leaned on too much and overplayed. But like I said, he's talented. People forget coming out of high school, JJ was considered one of those guys. He just went to a program that he won at that didn't run the ball, that didn't throw the ball a whole lot. But so moving on to the team that I know everybody in this town is really, really concerned with over the past 2 weeks, and the fact that we do play them Sunday. The Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, you can make the case for him being the most talented quarterback in this division.
Yeah.
Can he put it all together finally? and be consistent instead of being as streaky and up and down, as volatile as his play can be. But we know he does have the talent. He's got Jacobs behind him in the backfield. They went out, drafted Matthew Golden. They got him a nice little stable of wide receivers out there with some size, some speed, some athleticism.
Hmm.
The defense went out and got Michael Parsons. They also sacrificed their running game, their run stopping game, for more pass rush help, which is something they've needed over the past couple years. So
Yeah.
you take a Parsons who also has his own questions health wise now. He may take an epidural to play against us on Sunday. But healthy, you talking about adding Parsons to Walker and Lucas Van Ness and um, one of your favorite players from the 2024 class, Adrian Cooper, over there. Now they still got big questions: safety and
Hmm.
corner,
Yep. They
safety and
do.
corner, and being able to stop the run up the middle now because you got rid of Kenny Clark, who's already paying dividends for the Dallas Cowboys tonight.
Hmm.
So it's just difficult, man, because the Packers are just used to playing us. And as you mentioned, it's tough to fans expected what we're gonna go 12-0 against the division in 2 years. Like
Right.
that's
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 unheard
not
of.
going
That's unheard of.
that's not gonna happen, man. That's not
11
gonna
and
happen,
one.
especially with teams that are that's getting there just as talented as you, and they know you like that.
Yeah.
So now the Bears, on the other hand, they could catch some teams by surprise because nobody really knows what to truly expect from Ben Johnson. But once again, Green Bay, man, we know our Lions. We talk about our Lions constantly, but our quarterback may not be. He may be the fourth most talented quarterback in the division, but he's probably the most dependable.
Yeah. Most smarter.
Like
Yeah.
you
He's
know
smartest
exactly
guy.
what you're gonna get. You know
Yep.
what you're gonna get out of Jared Goff. Um, Throughout a 17 game season, it's gonna be too herky jerky with Jordan Love. He's gonna look like a potential all pro type of quarterback right on the cusp, but then he's going to have 2 or 3 games in a row where he's going to not be able to stop himself from turning the ball over until he can start being consistent for at least 8 or 9 games or 7 games in a row. Green Bay is going to have to lean on the defense for the most part. And I still believe, we're the most complete team in this division, and I think everybody realizes it. The
Hmm.
problem is, well, your coordinators. And I
Yeah.
think that's going to be bigger than a lot of people lead on to. But what do you think about Green Bay?
Yeah. I like the Packers, man. I liked it before they even got Micah Parsons. You know what I'm saying? Just what you said. I think that their defensive line is right there with the Vikings. I think, you know what I'm saying, and like formidable. You know what I mean? Like right now today. You know what I'm saying? And we've seen Rashawn Gary. I think he had what? Didn't he had like 3 sacks in the game against the Lions last year? He's an absolute monster. One of those games. I think there was the game here in Detroit. They still lost, but I mean he had a formidable game. You talk about Quay
Hey, but
Walker. Talk,
remember though, remember when he was, not to cut you off, but
yeah, no, you
remember
good.
when Rashawn Gary was here,
Hmm.
and Michigan fans kind of viewed Rashawn Gary the same way coming out of Michigan. Like, he came to Michigan with all the hype that he had, and I just don't see it. He had all that physical potential, but nobody could see it at Michigan because for whatever reason, within that defense, it didn't show up. He got to the NFL and was tremendously better.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
some
right.
guys are better in the pros than they are in college. But back to what you were saying.
No, no, I was just gonna say, I think just like the Vikings situation, I think they're strong up front linebackers, like you say. You mentioned Edrin Cooper, Quay Walker. Xavier McKinney's a good safety. The Kayshawn Nixon, like him, as well. But I think the cornerback, they lost Jair Alexander. You're right. He went to Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken. So he couldn't stay
They
healthy
ain't lose
anyway.
them.
Yeah,
They
right.
pushed them up.
They kind of got rid of him. But what I'm saying is, I think that's where the Lions had the advantage. I think in division, I think our biggest, we talk about the Packers right now, but what I'm saying is, I don't know if their secondary is going to be able to hold up. Same thing. I think there'll be a lot of points given up in this division, man. You know what I mean? That's the way I see it. Like how the AFC West, has a lot of high scoring games. I can see the NFC North heading in that direction too. You know what I'm saying? And if any team I think out of all the quarterbacks in our division, I think Jordan Love, just for every definition of him that you said. I agree with everything you said about Jordan Love. But it's just like for him when we seen it. Like remember when they beat the Pack or when he beat the Cowboys in that playoff game, he was great. You know what I'm saying? And he looked like you said, a guy who was going to be like a force to be reckoned with that year in the playoffs. And then to be honest with you, they should have beat the 49ers. I think they won it the next week and they lost. And then that was the game we lost to the 49ers too, ultimately. But what I'm saying is Jordan Love has talent, man. You know what I'm saying? He has the talent to be able to put that team on his back. And I think that at times they're going to need him to be that because it's going to be just like Caleb Williams. I think he's going to find himself in games where they might have the ball last and, instead of throwing an interception at the end of the game to ice the game, he's going to have to lead his team and score winning touchdown, or do a game winning drive. And I don't know if that's the second part of his uh, maturation as a quarterback that he's going to have to, go down that road sooner or later. You know what I mean? I mean, I haven't seen Jordan Love orchestrate a fourth quarter put together drive yet. Like you say, everything's helter skelter, herky jerky. You know what I'm saying? It looked good when you win in 17-0. You know what I'm saying? But when the game is, 21-20 in the fourth quarter, and your team needs you to be, correct on your decision making. I think that's the part where Jordan Love has to mature in that regard. Because, like you said, like Jared Goff is like the smartest guy in his division. I think you know what I mean. When it comes down to it, he Mister Dependable. I'm glad. I like how you said that because he is. I mean, you think about it. I mean, Jared Goff has been around the block a couple times, been in the Super Bowl, been in an NFC Championship game, won the division a couple times here. Won it with the Rams. So he's got accolades, and I think that those guys are trying to just win their own division title. You know what I'm saying? And Jared Goff has done that. So yeah, I like the Packers. They well coached. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's going to be a dogfight between them and the Lions. I think those going to be one of those two teams are going to win. I don't think the Vikings are good enough yet to win the division like the Bears. You know what I'm saying? It would shock me more. I'm going to tell you, Walt, if the Vikings won division, it would shock me. Not the Bears, only because I see the Bears have more. I don't know how you put it. I wouldn't say because I think Kevin O'Connell's is a damn good head coach. I think he's one of the top five in the league, coaching wise right now. But I was going to say because JJ McCarthy is the wild card for me. I think your quarterback position got to be stable. You know what I'm saying? And if he could, man, just be this cool, calm, and collected, conductor of the railroad, that type of thing. Don't let this thing go off the rails and win the division as damn near rookie. Man, that's impressive right there. You know what I mean? You would think Caleb Williams would have the inside track to be the guy that surprised and win the division. What I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? The Bears wouldn't
And
surprise me.
so let me ask you this,
Yeah.
because every year we sit around and we can go through some of this once we get to these divisional predictions, but we go through this every year where in the off season or right before the season starts, this can't happen, that won't happen, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous, that's up in the air. Not one single person I know
Mm-hmm.
or even heard on television had Dan Quinn and Jayden Daniels making it all the way to the NFC Championship game, let alone even making the playoffs.
Yep.
Nobody had the Commanders that roster with a rookie quarterback
Yeah.
and a second time head coach who failed the first time, even though he had a lot of success with Atlanta, but ultimately he ended up having to get out of there anyway. But
Yeah.
nobody had that happening. CJ Stroud went to Houston, rookie head coach, new offensive coordinator, brand new offensive coordinator over there in Houston. Won the division, made the playoffs,
Yeah.
won the first playoff game. These things happen. Now it happened with Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck made the playoffs his first year. Sometimes it happens. I just don't want people to get into the habit of saying every all this stuff is impossible. JJ's not in a situation where, and we getting back to Minnesota for a sec, but JJ's not in a situation where he's not insulated. He's got one of the best defensive coordinators in football. He's got one of the best defenses in football from a court, but last season and the year prior to that. He's taken over for a 14-2 team. He's got weapons to throw the ball to. He's got one of the best quarterback coaches in the league, who's also his head coach. So I wouldn't be surprised if JJ has some success at all. I've seen lesser talented quarterbacks in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell has success. And then you look at Green Bay. Yeah, we saw the helter skelter. That playoff game against Dallas, that man looked like he was on the borderline cusp of being elite.
Mm-hmm.
Went to San Francisco, played well, had an odd little second half, had opportunity for a game-winning drive, threw a pick.
Yep.
So it's like you got to get some consistency out of the quarterback position, man. You can ask most head coaches, quarterback coaches, whoever, what would you rather have, the big time talented quarterback who's helter skelter, or would you have the average quarterback who you know exactly what he's going to give you on a game to game basis? If I know that Jared Goff, I can't really have him throw the ball more than, if I have Jared Goff throw the ball more than 34, 35 times, bad things tend to happen. We
Mm-hmm.
saw what happened every time he threw the ball 50 plus times while Ben Johnson was here. They lost those games, you know.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think all of it, and I agree with Green Bay. The secondary is still big time question marks. The quarterback is still a big time question mark. And if you look at Jared Goff in this division, he's in a division with babies. We just
Mm-hmm.
we just laid everything out for you, and he's
Yeah.
the seasoned vet in all this. Caleb still trying to figure it out, still trying to walk. JJ McCarthy still trying to walk. So, and then
Yeah.
you talk about Jordan Love. Yes, I get he's been in the league 6 years. He only played two and a half of them.
Right.
We
Right.
we being honest about it. So he's still learning. But for me, and I don't cut him any slack on this. Just the same way I really don't cut Hendon Hooker any slack for what happened here in Detroit, because you were still here. Granted, you wasn't playing, but you still should have been able to take over and play in preseason games. And I get it. He was playing with third stringers, fourth stringers, and this and that. You have to be able to show these people what you can do with what you have at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So being
Facts.
the backup quarterback is not an excuse for you to look as putrid as he looked playing with who he's playing with. You need to be able to still run the offense efficiently. And he wasn't able to prove he could do that. So, like I
Yeah.
said, it's all up in the air in our division. I still agree, and we can get to this right now. I think this is a really great segue because we're gonna get into not only NFC divisional winners, but
Mm-hmm.
AFC divisional winners. So, along with everybody, I'm pretty much assuming in the comment section, we both have the Detroit Lions, pretty much for the same reasons. We think that the continuity is still there. Granted, the offensive coordinator's gone, the defensive coordinator's gone. Aleem McNeil is out for the first month and a half of the season for the most part. Our best defensive player, Aiden Hutchins, is coming back from an injury,
Yeah.
but through all of that, our head coach is still there. So the message is still there. The voice is still there. The culture is still there. The core players are still there,
Yeah.
offensively as well as defensively.
Yeah.
And those other teams have too many question marks. Chicago has question marks at head coach as well as quarterback. Minnesota has them at quarterback. And Green Bay has them at quarterback as well as secondary. So what do you
Facts.
think?
Yep. Yeah. I got the Lions winning the North. Like I said, it may take 11, 12 at the most. Anything above 12, man, that would really impress me, with this team. The Lions don't have anything to prove, to anybody. Like, they have to go out and win 14, 15 games. They don't. You know what I'm saying? The Lions past that right now. We got bigger fish to fry at this point. So, not getting too much into it, what I mean, for the reasons we know. I mean, I'm just gonna say this. I expect Jameer Gibbs not to miss a beat, what I'm saying, despite the coordinator change. I expect St. Brown to be a pro, like he's always been a pro. You know what I'm saying? I expect the offensive line. I think that they will maybe have an adjustment period, maybe struggle. You know what I'm saying? Glasgow does concern me at center. But again, like I said, I think this team got too many veterans. I mean, too many leaders on this team that demand, they've had a taste of winning. It's not like this team hasn't won anything like years past. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Well, what we had out of 53-man roster, you got four guys that the other players actually listen to. You know what I'm saying? I think this team demands that everybody's accountable, including the head coach. So the Lions, I still got the Lions. They're the best team, I think, in the NFC North.
Definitely agree. Let's move on to the East.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens tonight, I still got the Eagles winning that
Me too.
marathon over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the Giants are going to be better than people give them credit for this
Yep.
season. I think the Commanders are going to take a step back, and I think Dallas is going to be dangerous. I think Dallas is going to be very dangerous, man. They're not going to be some cakewalk pushover like they was last year,
Mhm.
going through all the injuries they had, all the noise they had, even though they got their own share of noise going on this year. But
Yeah.
they're still a flaw. Dallas is still a flawed football team, but at the end of the day, the Eagles, I think they're built more for the 17-game marathon right now than the Eagles, the Giants, or the Commanders are.
Yeah, totally agree about the Cowboys, man. Yeah, Kenny Clark just got a sack. Him and my guy Marshawn Nealon from Western, the guy they drafted last year. Yeah, then the boys they play in. It's just funny, man, how sports just I don't care regardless of what sport it is. When a team feels like they're back against the wall and it's us against everybody, that means something, man. I don't know. It's some type of weird dynamic all the time. You know what I'm saying? It may not last the whole season, but like you said, the Cowboys look damn good tonight. You know what I'm saying? As far as the defense flying around. Izaraku is playing well too, for a rookie from Boston College. But yeah, I think the Eagles are most talented, man. Jalen Hurt is just, two touchdowns tonight, just continuously submitting his legacy career. I think he's the one guy I think in the league I think that's undervalued to me. He was a guy that almost everybody would love. He would be the punching bag, when they didn't win and came up short and got eliminated in the playoffs. Everybody was kind of blaming him, and it was sort of like he's still playing the same as he's been playing. You know what I'm saying? Even last year, they won the Super Bowl. He's played the same. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts is fine. He's a leader. I like the Eagles again to win this division over the Commanders. I like the Commanders too. I'm totally with you on the Giants. I think the Giants defense could be hella scary. Lions got to play them later on in the season. I think in December. I think they come here. And that ain't nothing to be messed. The Giants D line ain't nothing to be messed with, man. That two boys is like they gonna win some games just off their defensive line. I think. You know what I mean? Just being able to control the line of scrimmage the way they do. But the Eagles got the best offensive line in the league. The secondary is not as good as they were. I like Cooper DeJean. Quinion Mitchell, played great last year, but I think Adoree Jackson, I think that team's going to look at this tape from tonight's game, and Dak Prescott taking advantage of Adoree Jackson taking Darius Slay's spot. So, but again, I don't have to elaborate too much more. Eagles going to win the division.
Couldn't agree more. So I think this is a division where, and we discussed this in the pre-show. We both got the Bucks winning the division, pretty much for similar reasons. The consistency at quarterback. We both think Baker's a pretty good quarterback and does take a lot of unnecessary flack. He's a gamer. That defense should be elite. You look at the wide receiving core, even though God was routinely hurt, but
Yeah,
Mike
stay hurt.
Evans, he's the consummate pro out there.
Mm-hmm.
Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State, he's going to be a tremendous player for them. They got a nice stable of running backs starting with Bucky Irvin. The
Mm-hmm.
offensive line is solid. But
Yes.
I think we both agree at number two. Well, we disagree on the number two teams in this division, but I think it's going to be Carolina, honestly. And I think Carolina is going to push Tampa Bay. Somebody always pushes Tampa Bay in this division the
Mm-hmm.
last few years since New Orleans completely fell off a cliff. But
Yeah,
I think Carolina's going to be tremendously better. They could potentially push those boys in Tampa.
yeah.
You have Atlanta. Now
Hmm.
I'm kind of still shaky on Atlanta, man. Even though it's a different coaching situation, different quarterback, that is a very talented football team, man. Even if
Yeah.
outside of the moves they made in the draft this year, a few months ago, that was a talented roster the last couple years, man. You talking about Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts in London and Penix, and they got a lot over there.
Hmm.
But it seems to be something missing, and we go back to the quarterback position. It could be the quarterback position, but why do you like the Bucks more than Carolina?
Why do I like the Buck or the Falcons? Or yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I like
Starting
the
with
Bucks to win.
the
No,
Falcons
no, I
over
like the
Carolina.
Bucks. I like the Bucks to win the division. Just what you said. I think Kalijah Cansey, Tryon, them boys got man. They got hella defense. I love the Bucks defense. Um. So and they're well coached. Todd Bowles, damn good coach. I think. Yeah, but Falcons, I think they gonna edge the Falcons out. I've been kind of waiting on Atlanta. I was kind of waiting last year. I thought Kurt would really give them. Yeah, yup, and just would know that just said, and I was just gonna say they lost their offensive tackle. That's gonna hurt. You know what I'm saying? But again, I think that the Falcons can pose like a threat offensively because that's something in this league where you get teams fits when you can score when you want to, or any spot of the field. And I think Michael Penix is a guy, just to answer Corey's question. I think he is what's going to unlock this thing, man. Where Penix can make all the throws, he can throw it all over the field, man. And I think that that's going to be the difference. Now he knows he's a starter. I don't think he has to look over his shoulder and think he's going to get pulled if he make those interceptions, stuff like that. It's just amazing how a quarterback plays better when he's free and the organization's got confidence in. They're giving him the keys to the car, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's going to reward the franchise for picking him when they did. And everybody was kind of saying, why the hell would you pick this kid and you draft and you sign Kirk Cousins, stuff like that. So for me, the Falcons going to be right there, but I think the Bucks are better. I think the Bucks across the board, offensive line, defensive line, are better than Atlanta. Atlanta, what's the pass rusher? Help me, Grady, if you know Ibakabi, I think is his name. I like him. I think that kid's something serious. I don't know the
Oh, out of
secondary.
Clemson,
Yeah,
the
no, the
dude they
kid.
drafted out of Clemson.
Him, yeah, but the one they had the last couple of years from Penn State, I think he was Ibakabi, I think is his name. I think he from Penn
Oh,
State
okay,
a couple years ago.
yeah.
But yeah, and it Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts. I've been waiting for Kyle Pitts for like 3 years to evil. What's going on with him in the offense? So if they can just get him the ball, you know what I'm saying? And you got Drake London, you got some talented guys, like you said, man, and so the Falcons gonna be there. I think but that last playoff spot, damn, he got hit hard. That was like real bad. But it could be, yeah, it's a question mark, and I think that may stop them from being in play. I got Atlanta and Arizona kind of battling out for that last playoff spot. Who's gonna make it? And I was just gonna say what defense is gonna carry the team, to the playoffs, man. And I don't know if Atlanta's ready defensively yet, but I think they're gonna be fun to watch, though. You know what I mean? I think the offense gonna be real fun to
They
watch.
young as hell. Like
Uh-huh.
much respect to the Falcons because over the past two drafts, outside of Grady Jarrett and a couple other guys, like they've been trying to get that pass rush going, that interior pass rush, the perimeter pass rush. They drafted because I kept thinking about the defensive tackle slash edge rush tweener kid that they drafted out of Clemson last year. But they've invested a lot. They've invested
Hmm.
a lot, man, in that defensive line trying to get a pass rush going. They traded up back into the first round to get James Pierce this year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I like Atlanta, man. Like it just leaves you wanting more, man, because that's a talented ass roster.
Hmm.
And you're going through first year starter at quarterback and new head coach in Arthur Smith is out of the building now. I just don't know what to really expect from them. I've
Yeah.
seen now Bryce Young for 2 seasons, seen his maturation. He looks a lot more comfortable. We talked about the Ted McMillan, the 6'4", 6'5" guy that can make plays downfield, big time possession guy.
Yeah.
Jimmy Horn Jr., the slot guy that nobody can cover. Then you got Xavier Legette, who now isn't expected to be a number one. I think there was a lot
Yeah.
of unnecessary pressure put on him last year coming out of South Carolina. He's even improved as he's 6'1", 225, and can make a lot of big plays after the catch and
Yeah.
downfield as well. So if that offensive line is better, we expect Bryce to be better. So Bryce coming back from that not the injury, but after Dalton got hurt, after he got benched,
Yeah.
Bryce looked like a completely different quarterback. So I just think that for this season, I'm going to bet on Bryce Young over Michael Penix and over Spencer Rattler in,
Yeah.
in that division. But
Yeah.
I think it's still not Carolina's turn yet because I think, and we may disagree on this, we actually do. I personally think it's Arizona's turn now.
Hmm.
I'm a fan of Kyler, but he's another guy similar to Jordan Love. He's too volatile. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain. If you go back and you look at Arizona's record with him and with versus without him,
Yeah.
when bless you, when he's there, they win games.
Hmm.
People forget they were 9-1 under Kyler that 1 year before guys got hurt. He got hurt, and then the season went into a tailspin, and they wound up losing in the first round of the
Oh.
playoffs to the Rams that year. But I just think that when you look at what Jonathan Gannon has done with Arizona, they've drafted really well the last 2 years, the past 3 years, matter of fact.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr., he may still be a question on whether or not he can get open, but man, they've reloaded that defense tremendously. And to me, Arizona's meteoric rise has been very comparable to what the Lions did as far as year one under Jonathan Gannon, not having his quarterback for most of the season, got the most out of those players. They played hard. They won their games that they were able to win that were right there within grasp. And when I look at Arizona last year, I watched a lot of Arizona games last year, man. They gave some away, which is what you expect from a young football team. They
Yeah.
had Minnesota beat last year, but they finished 8-9. And when I compare it to the
Hmm.
year that Detroit played well down the stretch and they went 9-8 and beat Green Bay that last game of the season, but still missed the playoffs, they came back hungry for more. I think Arizona is catching San Francisco at the right time.
Yeah.
I think they're catching the Rams at the right time because Stafford's going through the issue with the back, which is something he was going through before he even left here.
Yeah.
Seattle, do they have a quarterback or don't they have a quarterback in Sam Darnold? We're gonna find out this season about them as well. I
Yeah.
just think that Arizona, even though Arizona doesn't have as much success as those other teams over the past few years, I'm
Uh,
willing to hang my hat on Arizona continuity wise
yeah.
right now. So I got Arizona winning the division. I think Arizona's ceiling is 11 wins. I think their floor could be 8,
Yeah.
just possibly because they could regress too. But I think if you looking at the other teams' deficiencies in that division, 10-6 could win that division this year. It wouldn't surprise me if it did.
10-7, 10, 11-6. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
ten
Good
to
throw.
seven.
Damn, he missed it. Yeah. Only thing I want to say, I agree. What you just said about the Cardinals. I love the Cardinals. I think that they're playoff team. They're a fringe playoff team, in my opinion. I got the Rams. Listen to this D line, man. Brayton Fisk, Poona Ford, Kobe Turner, Bryant Young, Jared Verse. That's damn near like the Giants, dude. You know what I'm saying? I think the Rams just their secondary sucks. That's their problem. It's a lot of teams with bad secondaries. The corner's not that great. I like Cam Curl. He's okay. But that Othello Witherspoon, Darius Williams are Olays on each side, in my opinion. Now you got Matthew Stafford, who's not 100% starting the season. That's a concern, right there right off the bat. Because Stafford has played a lot of football, man. He's battered. You know what I'm saying? His body is just, could be to the point to where it's breaking down on them now. You know what I'm saying? You never know. Not that I'm wishing that on them, but what I'm saying is, you whenever you got back problems, issues, especially with the age at playing quarterback, it's tough. You need your back, to be healthy. So yeah, I mean, if the Rams don't win the division, yeah, Corey. Yeah, me too. Yep, I love Jared Verse and Braden Fisk. That was a guy. Walt and Lamar brought Braden Fisk up to me, and I had to watch some tape on him. Braden Fisk is amazing too. But yeah, I like the Rams. I'm gonna stick with them, but like everything you just said about the Cardinals and low key, I like Seattle low key. I do. You know what I'm saying? Can Sam Darnold recapture the magic, like he did with the Vikings? I think that Seattle is on the fast track of rebuilding that team. You know what I'm saying? They got two damn good running backs. The offense isn't as great as it was, what I'm saying? Nor so the defense, but I think it is getting to the point to where they are building some more talent, building the offensive line over there. But like you said, Cards and Rams in that division and the 49ers. I mean, for the most part, I just say this right now. I mean, I think the 49ers is a team that could either finish last or win the division. I really do. I think the 49ers are in a weird spot right now because people kind of forget about them, overlook them. You know what I mean? They haven't really, done anything. Christian McCaffrey, his health, is a big. Oh wow, they get down the goal line and fumble the ball, Cowboys. Oh wow. So yeah, to me, it's the Rams right now. You know what I mean? But like I said, with Brock Purdy to be able to, man, live up to that contract, it just seemed like he's in over his head. I mean, for me, I mean, maybe 49er fans, they might shut me up during the season if I'm wrong, but I just think he in over his head. I don't think Brock Purdy's that great, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But I could be wrong.
I mean, ain't nothing wrong about saying that,
I'm
man.
I'm not
But
going after him. It's just I don't.
no, of course not.
It to me he'd have to. They got to show me, man. They got to show me that they recap. I don't. I think what they were 4 years ago. They're not the 49ers. Put it this way, I think that the
No,
coach, I
no.
think Shanahan, you might hear some rumblings of him. They might want him out if they don't make the playoffs or anything like that. If they fizzle out this year, so
Well, I think this offseason they put forth a conscious effort to rebuild that defense. They got young as hell
yeah,
on defense this past draft. Um, Debo's gone. Ayuk's coming off the injury. You got Pearsall over there. They got some questions, and of course, Christian McCaffrey is always a question. It's going to always be health questions with him, especially the older he gets. So, I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you. Those are all reasons why I kind of look at San Francisco like, okay, nah, this is the year Arizona is destined to kind of catch them and surpass them, at least for 1 year. Not saying that Arizona's building a dynasty, even though I do like what the Cardinals are building, but all right, let's move on to the AFC, man. And we're gonna fly through this real quick because me and you both got the Ravens for
uh,
obvious reasons. You're talking about Lamar Jackson,
yeah,
perennial MVP, one of the best five overall football players in football. That defense got
uh,
tremendously better. This is a team that identified their weaknesses. They went out and they attacked them. You and I both were Malachi Starks fans. You talking about pairing Malachi Starks with the other safety they got over there. And you
uh,
got something special going. They got the pass rush back ignited after Smith
yeah.
was gone. So that's kind of, we don't even have to really stop on that. Unless, the only other team in that division that could challenge them, I think, is Cincinnati. Like,
Yep.
I'm not as down on Cincinnati as much either, and we can get in Cincinnati at a later date
Yep.
because I don't think the defense is going to be as bad as people think. Because even though I get it, they don't have a lot of people on defense name wise, they still have Trey Hendrickson, who they got back. He's a closer,
That's Shamar Stewart.
and right, and this
Demetrius
was a
Knight.
defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, this was a defense that was 25th overall a year ago, but they were eighth in the league in takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can play bend but don't break, good red zone defense, and this is another thing people not understanding about it. Typically it takes the offense, not just our team, but most teams, it takes the offense a little bit longer to get started, to get warmed up at the beginning of the season, and the defenses are strong. This team has the continuity between Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, his offensive line, Higgins, the stable
Hmm.
of running backs they got.
Yeah.
If you start turning the ball over against Cincinnati, giving that team extra possessions, it's curtains. It's curtains.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not completely just writing off Cincinnati, because if they can force turnovers and get Joe Burrow extra possessions, they can win more games than not. But, at the end of the day, the Ravens from top to bottom are still the best team in that division. You and I also agree on the East. We still believe that Buffalo, even though I do think New England's coming slowly but surely, I think Mike Vrabel's going to turn that team around in 1 year.
Hmm.
And if you got Mike Vrabel as your head coach, you have solid discipline defense, solid discipline on special teams. They're gonna run the ball for damn sure with Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. They improved the offensive line. Now it all comes down to whether or not Drake May is the guy. So what do
Yeah.
you think about that division?
Yeah. I agree with you. I'm high on New England this year. I'm tired of the dog. I'm tired of the Tua thing. I don't believe in Miami at all. I don't like the coach. He kind of irritates me a little bit. I don't like the Dolphins at all. Just probably because I don't. I'm kind of skewed because I don't know, man. Tyreek Hill. It's just that whole. I like A Chain though. I like what he brings to that offense. I'm just
That's
say
that
this.
70-point game against Denver feels like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's fake. That was all fake. I mean, offense. It just
He was
not.
the next Sean McVay, man.
Yeah, not a real football team at all. They drafted my man Grant from
Yeah.
Michigan. I don't like the Dolphins, so they're out. Yep, New England, like you said, I'm higher on the Jets than other people. Um, I like the Jets. I think that the Jets and the
Justin
Patriots are
Fields?
gonna be. Yeah, yeah. I've always been a Justin Fields guy. Always, man. I think that he's finally got a team. I mean, well, I think Chicago. I can say that he started some games. He started more than a handful of games for Chicago, but I just think that New York's defense is legit, man. I think they just haven't been able to put both sides of the ball together, and like the defense is good, but they tried to bring Aaron Rodgers in to find an identity. They couldn't really find an identity, so then that fizzled out. Then the defense knew that they had to give up less than 17 to even win every weekend. Well, that's a lot of pressure, man, on your defense. So if you got Justin Fields who can keep the defense off the field, and give them guys a breather, you know what I'm saying? Then maybe you can let you know, the defense get their feet up under them on a regular basis and play like a regular NFL game, and then maybe you got something, man. Yeah, I like I said, I'm an Aaron Glenn guy, not just because of that. I just think that too because of the talent. I think they lost Vera Tucker though on their offensive line. I heard yesterday. I think he's out for the season, torn triceps, so that's going to hurt that offensive line a lot. But they got some
Tucker
players,
might
man.
be done though now.
Yeah, yep,
Because remember, he,
exactly.
he missed he missed his entire rookie season too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
So
and the
it's
other side, the two pectoral,
yeah,
dude, that's bad. So yeah, I don't really have to elaborate too much. We got the Bills, for the, I got the Bills actually, Bills and the Ravens. One of them two teams going to the Super Bowl, I think, in my opinion. So
all right. Well, we both got the Houston Texans
yeah,
winning the AFC South. Colts, tough. They like that gnat that just won't go away, that you can't get rid of. Can't solve the quarterback position. Consistently overachieve defensively, not having the most high end talent. They got some decent wide receivers over there. Taking Richardson fourth overall isn't looking like one of their best moves, but they're starting Daniel Jones, formerly
hmm
of the New York Giants. So they got their issues going on. Tennessee, I think Tennessee is about 2 years away. Honestly, I'm a
Yeah,
big Cam Ward fan, but
me too.
playing in the AFC South, you got the opportunity, but playing against those AFC opponents. So that's the thing. You ain't playing against the AFC South 17 games out the year.
Yeah,
And I just think he's going to have his issues early. I could see Cam getting better and looking more comfortable sometime maybe around week 6 or 7 and finishing the season strong. But Houston's just too far ahead of everybody else, honestly, I think right now.
yeah, yeah. Facts, facts. I'm a CJ Stroud guy. I think you're gonna see the CJ Stroud from 2 years ago. Um, I like the Texans, man, a lot. I think that they built up. I think offensively, getting Nick Chubb is bigger than what people think. Especially because Mixon's going to be out. Nico Collins is a beast. It just seems like offensively, the offensive line is getting better. The defensive line was good last year. So the secondary was their Achilles heel as well. They could not. It just seemed like they didn't have the personnel defensively to go man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, when you got Will Anderson, you can try that. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have the guys out there, on an island, I like Derek Stingley though. He the one guy I do like on that secondary that they have. But good coach D'Amico Ryans is a damn good coach. I think too. Another guy I like. I like the Texans. I think that they're going to be better than they were last year, in my opinion. So just to kind of
Yeah.
keep it short, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Derek Stingley Jr., Jalen Petrie, the safety is a damn good player.
yeah, from
They
Baylor,
got
yeah,
some, yeah,
hmm
yeah. They got some players over there. Like I said, I just think that right now Houston is further ahead of everybody else in that division. So, all
hmm
right. So this last division, I'm not gonna go this far, even though, and I will say this, I got Denver right now. I believe number 7 in my power rank, either 7 or 8 in the entire NFL in my power rankings. I'm high on Denver too. Over the long run, I don't think they're going to be able to beat out the Chiefs though. You know,
yeah,
the Broncos defense is going to be a lot better. It was a lot better last year than it was from 2023. But still, how you going to stop the run? They still got some question marks in the offensive line. They got some playmakers out there. I do like Jade Barron, the corner out of
hmm
Texas. They were able to get.
yeah,
They can play him at nickel. They can play him at outside on the perimeter. He can play some safety. He can do a lot. But I don't think they're ready to. I don't think Kansas City's dead yet. Just to say this, man. Steve Spagnuolo. I think he's the best defense coordinator in football. They still got a lot of guys on defense that they retain. That's another really good sign of a really good organization is
yeah,
how many guys you draft that turn out to be second contract worthy or even third contract worthy for that matter. The personnel has gotten better. They did get Omar Norman Lott, the defensive tackle out of Tennessee.
yeah,
So
yep,
I
like
think
him,
what they're trying to do is completely retool the defense, keep the defense as top flight and as elite as they can. But my questions with Kansas City is who's going to be the consistent pass catcher? Because
yeah,
you got all those short, fast guys out there in Tyquan Thornton, and you got Marquise Hollywood Brown, and you got Worthy, Xavier Worthy, who took it the first round a year ago. All of those guys are 4-2 guys.
hmm
But Kelsey isn't getting
yeah,
any younger. It's not getting any easier for him to get open neither against some of these younger linebackers and these safeties. So when Patrick Mahomes needs the
yeah,
3rd and 8, the 3rd and 9, or even the 3rd and 12, and he needs somebody to run that dig precisely, and he needs somebody to run that short comeback. It's not gonna always be fades and slants and deep posts and corner routes. You need somebody to be that consistent pass catcher so you can keep sustaining drives in the fourth quarter. You can keep sustaining drives in the playoffs. So, oh yeah, then also with Kansas City, we talked about this, man. Starting 2 rookies on the offensive line and Kingsley Sewell. You know how to pronounce the name
yeah.
out of BYU.
Yeah,
Kingsley
yeah,
Suamate.
yeah, Sulamalia, yeah, Sulamalia, yeah, from BYU, yeah,
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 what he
mhm.
said. What he said.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then Josh
yeah,
Simmons, who
like
I'm a
Josh
big
Simmons.
fan of, the
Yep.
tackle out of Ohio State. They both rookies though. So you can expect them to be inconsistent. And then Taylor's still at right tackle on the other side. So it's Creed Humphrey, Pro Bowler, All Pro. Trey Smith, Pro Bowler, All Pro. Three other question marks on that offensive line. So, but even with all that being said, Andy Reid is still, I think, the best head coach and the best play caller in football. And you got Patrick Mahomes. And you got Steve Spagnuolo, who I believe is the best defensive coordinator in football. So you got an elite defensive coordinator, elite head coach, elite play caller, and elite quarterback. And I think that for the most part is enough to still put them over Sean Payton in Denver. So what are your overall thoughts on Denver, man, that you think they're gonna go ahead and overtake
Yeah,
Kansas
I
City
think
this
that
year?
playing, the Chiefs twice a year is going to bode well for Denver. You know what I'm saying? Because you need that championship experience. Just like the Lions. I mean, they remind me of the Lions. They do when they were trying to get it right. But the only difference is I think that the defense is a little bit more elite. You know what I mean? When you look at the defensive line, you got the likes of Zach Allen, you got DJ Jones, you got John Franklin Myers, Jonathan Cooper, Dre Greenlaw, Alex Singleton, Nick Benito, and Patrick Sertain, and then they just signed Hafanga from 49ers. They got elite defense, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's they already showed like the Eagles put the blueprint out there how to beat the Chiefs, man. And I think that if you put pressure, like you said, the question marks on the offensive line is a red flag to start the season. You know what I'm saying? And man, if they can get pressure on Patrick Mahomes, like I think they can, it's the Broncos going to be a tough out for whoever plays them in the playoffs. The Broncos with Bo Nix, they did everything right with developing Bo Nix as being, of course, he was a guy people laughed at. I remember, man, I did video and people was laughing, saying Bo Nix sucks. He's not good. He's this. He's that. He's one of the ones that made it, man. He was older when he came out. Obviously, when you get a guy who's over 21 or 22, when you draft him, they already say, well, why is he, you know, come out earlier, or he might not be any good. But I think the football IQ is there. I think when you have a quarterback, elite quarterback, well, an up and coming to be an elite quarterback like Bo Nix is, I think that automatically gives you a chance. That automatically pushed the Broncos up 2 or 3 years, Walt, and speeded up uh their rebuild, man. You know what I mean? I don't even think they rebuilding now. I think this is gonna be the year they kick the door in on teams. I really do. You know what I mean? I think they're better than the Chiefs defensively. I do. Even when I say that with Chris Jones, I like Trent McDuffie. I think
Ooh,
the Broncos are way better than what people give them
ooh.
credit for. It's just the only question mark with them. I'm gonna say this: their offense ain't elite like that. That's the only problem. You know what I mean? They don't have a great offense line from running. Yeah, skill
The
position
skill
players.
position
Yup,
play?
they don't
Yeah,
have it. So that's what may
yeah.
put the Chiefs ahead of them again, because again, you have to score against Mahomes. I'm just thinking the defense can carry him and make it ugly. You know what I mean? So yeah, and then I like Sean Payton as a coach. I think that he's very undervalued. Have won a Super Bowl. Obviously, he knows what the heck he's doing. You know what I mean? That division's crazy with Andy Reid and Sean Payton. You got Pete Carroll now. Jim Harbaugh. I mean, very good coaches in the AFC West. But I'm going with the Broncos. I think the Chiefs still playoff team, but I'll take the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean that's realistic because if you look at the rest of the AFC, the South ain't about to get two teams in. Whoever win that division is gonna be the only team to make the playoffs off the AFC South. Me personally, if I was betting on it right now, which I'm not, but if I was betting on it in the NFC, not in the NFC, but in the AFC North, I would bet that two teams won't get in. I think Baltimore gets in. Cincinnati may be fighting for that last spot the last couple of weeks of the season. But if you ask me right now, would I bet on that division having two teams? I wouldn't. I don't believe the AFC East is going to have two teams at all. I think Buffalo wins the division and they get the only bid out of there. So you got to go to the AFC West. The AFC West is the best division, I think, overall in that conference. It's not even close. So if anybody's going to get two teams into the playoffs, I believe it'll be the AFC West. It just comes down to is it going to be the Chiefs and the Broncos or the Chiefs and
Mhm.
Chargers, or do the Raiders jump up and surprise the people and it be the Chiefs and Raiders, or the Raiders and Chargers, or Raiders and Chiefs, whatever it may be. But like I said, I like Denver. I like Denver a lot because, like I said, I do have them. I do have them either seventh or eighth in my power rankings right now, heading into the season. But Kansas City, despite their warts, they still championship ready.
Yeah.
The championship built, and they're still better than the Broncos, I think, at some real key positions right now. So, all right, man. So meeting's adjourned. We're gonna talk about this a little bit later, in the week. So we'll be back Friday, not Friday. We'll be back Saturday morning to go ahead and start talking Green Bay, breaking
Yeah.
Green Bay down, roster wise, scheme wise. Um, we can go back, check out those two games for last year to really see what we saw and what gave Jordan Love so many problems. Because Jordan Love had a weird game at Green Bay against us where they lost when Kirby had the interception in the snow,
Yeah.
the sleet, or whatever. Then he played bad like the first half against us on Thanksgiving, and then he kind of picked it up in the second half to give us a late scare. But we're gonna talk a lot about Green Bay for sure. Anything you want to say to these
Yeah,
people
it's
before we
week
get up
one,
out of here?
man. It's game week. All the talking is over. You know what I'm saying? It's really time to play football, man. That's all. I'm just ready for the season. 425 slot. Sunday. Gives everybody chance to go to service, do what you got to do. You know, uh, take the kids, go to dinner, go to brunch, whatever you go do, come home, watch the football game, man. It's gonna be a good game Saturday, Sunday. Michael Parsons gave us his extra fuel, saying he don't like Detroit. But it's for the camera. It's for why not say that? You know what I'm saying? Who cares? I mean, I'm not saying I like Michael Parsons. I mean,
Yeah, it's to
yeah,
endear
it's not
himself to the
he ain't a
crowd.
bad person because he said
Right.
that he don't like Detroit. You know what I'm saying? It just adds some friendly fire before we start playing. That's all. You know what I mean? I mean he's the enemy. As far as the other team. So I think that this is gonna be just one of the best games of the weekend, in my opinion. So we'll see.
Definitely. All right. Want to thank you. Want to thank everybody for joining us tonight who did all in the comment section. We love y'all input
Yep.
every single show. Wouldn't be able to do this without y'all. And like I said, want to thank everybody for being back. We are headed into year 5 of this show, and we look very forward to breaking these games down and discussing these games with you guys all week, every week for 18 plus weeks. Till next time. See you later.